So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to set up an MLA paper on a Mac, specifically in Word. So what I've done is I've opened up a new document in Word, and I haven't changed anything, I just opened it up. This is document 16, so I have opened up numerous other documents, so my defaults might not be typical defaults. They may be a little skewed, but they're not totally what we want them to be. So for example, this is not Times New Roman, this is 12, so that's okay, but I'll show you how we want to check those things. So one of the things that a lot of people have problems with, not only on a Mac but also on a PC, is how to properly insert the MLA, what I call header 1. So there are two headers. There's the header 1 over here, which is the your last name, the writer's last name, and the page number, and then we have the header 2, which is that 4-line header with the writer name, the instructor name, the rubric course number, and the date. So in header 1, the easiest way to do it is to double click, and this is the same for a PC and a Mac, is to double click within the header area. Once you double click, it'll open up, and if you ever want to leave the header area, you can just double click to get out. Now, the other way to do this, and you'll see in a second, is to up here, I don't think you can see it, but there's what's called insert, and you can go to insert page numbers. Now, I don't recommend doing this either, because what it's going to happen is you're going to click on that, it's going to say, okay, where do you want the number? All right, I want it at the top of the page, I want it to be aligned to the right, and I want the number to be shown on the first page. Okay, it's going to insert it for you, but excuse me, you still have to then go back into the header and then do the rest of everything. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that and pretend that that never happened. So I'm going to open up the header, and what's going to happen is this new selection is going to be offered to you. So every now and then you'll see these new selections when you click on certain things or are doing certain things in Word, in your Word document. So we want to click on the header, and just like on a PC, same thing on a Mac, is we don't want to actually insert a header. So it gets confusing because we call it a header, but we don't actually want to insert a header in terms of what Word thinks a header is. So as you can see, these are all really fancy, and they're not the things that MLA wants. So we're going to ignore that, and we're just going to go to page number. So we're going to pop a page number in there, and then we're actually going to manually modify it. So I'm going to go back over here to home. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go ahead and right justify it. So here's all the justifications. We can be left justified, centered, or right justified. So the thing that says align the text to the right, we're going to click on that, and then we're going to input the last name. I'm going to pretend my last name is Smith. So the last thing that we have to do then is to double check the font, and this is because Word identifies the header area and the footer area down here as totally different and separate areas than the body. And so the things that you do in here or change in here does not change the things in here, and vice versa. So you're always going to have to change your font twice, or double check twice, to make sure that the font here is correct and the font in the body is correct as well. So we're going to select all of that, and then we're going to change it to Times New Roman, and it's already at 12, so we don't have to change that. And now we're finished, so we can double click to get outside, and we have a perfect MLA header 1 up there. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. I'm going to insert the second header, and I'm going to pretend my name is Joe Smith, that my instructor's name is Myers, that this class is Gerontology 101, and the date today is the 14th of September. So as you can see, we changed the font here, but our font here is back to Cambria, so we're going to have to change again to Times New Roman. This is annoying, but you will get used to it. And our font is correct, and it's already at size 12. So you only need the instructor's last name here, and the date, please remember, it's smallest to largest, so date, month, year, no commas, and the month should be spelled out. You also want to have a title that somehow reflects the thesis. And after that is where you start writing. So really the only other things you would have to change at this point is we want to double check our margins to make sure that they're all 1 inch. So we're going to go up here to layout, click on that, and then go to margins and click on margins. And as you can see, we're not currently at 1 inch all around. We're at 1, 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/4. So we're going to go up here to normal, where it's 1, 1, 1, 1. Click on that. It's going to fix that for us. And the other thing that we want to make sure we fix is our spacing. And this is something that a lot of people forget to do. And if you've ever had somebody tell you, oh, you have bigger spaces between your paragraphs than you need, it's because your spacing is not correct. So the way to do this is you have to go to home, and you do have to make sure that everything in your document is selected before you do this. And you're actually going to go right up here to this little place with the lines and the vertical arrows and where it says line spacing, and we're going to click on that arrow. We're actually going to go down to line spacing options. These are just single space, double 1/2, etc. We're going to click on line spacing options. And this is opening up what's called a dialog box. So there's a lot of different dialog boxes you can have because we want to actually have a dialog with Word, with the interface, to let it know, here's how I want to format my paper. Please change these things. I don't use this up here very much, but this down here you should become very familiar with, the spacing bit. Your before and after should be always 0 and 0. Now this is not defaulted. Like I said, I've had many documents open in Word, so my defaults have been a little skewed. Normally it's defaulted at 0 and 10. So if you have that, you want to fix that to 0, and then your line spacing here should be double. Then you can click OK, and it will fix that for you. The last thing I would show you here is when you start a works cited page, please remember that a works cited page should always be started on a new page. It doesn't matter if you only have 1 line of text on the preceding page or your preceding page is entirely filled up. The works cited page always gets started on a fresh page. So you go there, you want to center that, make sure the W and the C are the only things that are capitalized. Make sure that if you have multiple works, which you will, you have an S because you're citing multiple works rather than just one. And then here's where you'll start your different citations. And the last thing for hanging indentations, because your MLA citations should have hanging indentation, this little hourglass symbol up here is where you do it. At least I think it's the easiest way to do it. And you just manipulate this hourglass to tell Word where you want the indentation to go. So you can fidget with that to get the proper hanging indentation. So there are a lot of things that we have to manually do, and I actually think that's better because you have more control. So that is a very basic introduction to setting up an MLA paper in Word on a Mac, and good luck.